If you're running a house cleaning business and using Google Ads or thinking about doing so, then this video is for you. So my name's Sean and I run a marketing agency called Project 83, and we work with over 50 house cleaning businesses all around the world. So in today's video, I'm going to take you through a real life case study of a house cleaning company that we work with based in Calgary in Canada. I'm going to take you through some of the results that we're getting, how we've set things up, and some of the key things that you need to check in your own campaigns to make sure that you're set up for success. So let's dive in. So as you can see here, we're in the account and we have I've pulled out the last 30 days worth of data. And these are some top level data points. So in that period, we spent just over $2,000. It generated 139 ad clicks. And out of those 139 ad clicks, it generated 32 conversions. So those conversions are a mix of phone calls and people filling out a lead form on the landing page. And essentially that lead form is a quote request. So it's a mixture of those 2 points. And then this fourth item, this is the conversion rate. So 32 divided by 139 gives us this 23% conversion rate. So this 23% number is actually really, really strong. So, you know, with most of my clients, my aim is to hit 20% or higher. So we're above that level. So what this means is close to, you know, every 4 ad clicks, we are getting a phone call or a person filling out a lead form. So straight away, this tells us that we are running our ads in really good quality traffic. So the traffic that are seeing our ad has a high interest in what we do. And as a result, it means that a high percentage of those people who click on our ad are actually converting. You know, if we saw that this was 10% or 5%, you know, this is a very good signal to us that, the people who are seeing our ad aren't interested, because if they were interested, more would be getting in touch with us. So this is a really important number to keep on top of, when you're running your Google ads, because you know that if it's at that 20% level or higher, you're in the right traffic, you're doing all the right things. If you know it's much below, you need to change your ad campaign so that, you're getting in front of the right people rather than the wrong people. So to hit these sorts of numbers, there's a few really important things we need to get right, right out the start. So if I go into the campaign level here, and we'll go down to the settings, and the settings importantly are all pre-selected by Google when you set up a new campaign. And many people make the mistake of just going along with the pre-selected options of Google. But in actual fact, we need to go in there and change a number of them, so they're working for us as advertisers rather than, lying in the pockets of Google. So once this eventually loads up, I'll be able to give you show you a couple of examples. But the first example is at what's called at the location level. So if I click in the campaign, and we'll go to have a look at the locations. So this client is trying to find clients in the Calgary area and the Cochrane area. So most people would think, you tell Google this is the location, you draw on the map, but that is not sufficient. In actual fact, what you need to do is go in and change an important location setting as well. So I will do that in a second once this eventually loads up. So if we scroll down to locations, if we go down here, what you'll see here is we've uploaded various locations. You can use circles, you can upload specific zip codes, but buried under location and location options is this first thing that people often miss. So given the locations that we've shown Google, the pre-selected option would be to target people who are in or regularly in or who've shown interest in these locations. In actual fact, we're not bothered about this third bit, people who are showing interest. So, as an example, someone could be sat in their office in Toronto on the east side of the country, and they're being relocated to the west, Calgary. So they're on Google looking at real estate in Calgary. Maybe they're looking at schools. Maybe they're looking at house cleaning companies to help with their upkeep once they move. So Google can see that person is showing interest even though they're based many thousands of miles away. So if we don't change this option down here, in theory our ads could get shown to people who are many thousands of miles away, and as you can imagine, the likelihood of the conversion rate of those people is going to be a lot lower. So we want to change this location option to this second one. We're only bothered about getting in front of people who are in or regularly in these locations. So a couple of other things to note on the settings side as well. So when we go to the network, again, many people don't change this. So this basically says on where will our ads show up. The search network is basically google.com. People are going into the Google browser, and that's when you see the adverts at the top. This Google search partners can be other internet search engines. So it could be ask.com, or there are lots of different search engines out there that use Google's monetization engine. So it's Google Ads platform on its own browser. So we don't generally want to run that. The display network is, as you can imagine, these are little images which, you might see on Gmail or you might see on YouTube. And again, we don't want to show our ads in these locations. So we want to click both of these options here. And the reason for that is that put yourself in the shoes of a client. If you are serious about booking a cleaning business, 99 times out of 100, you still go to Google. So it'd be maid service near me, house cleaners, Calgary. You're not passively going, in your Gmail or you're on YouTube and then you click an ad. People who would click those sorts of ads are just much less intentional about what they're doing. So the likelihood of that lead becoming a booked client is going to be far less than if someone is at, unless someone sees our ad when they're going to google.com to do a search. So that is why, we want to focus on google.com. We don't want to be included in the search partners. We don't want to be searching. Our ads don't want to be showing up on the display networks either. So this is another very common mistake I see. And then the other area that often gets missed is the ad schedule side. So what the ad schedule is basically us telling Google which days of the week and times of the day we want our ads to run. So by default, the ads would run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But if let's compare two scenarios. Let's say someone is falling out of a nightclub at 3 a.m. on a Sunday morning, and they do a cleaning related search for whatever reason. If we compare that search with, say, a Monday 11 a.m. search, obviously the Monday 11 a.m. search is going to be a far better quality search. They're far more likely to give you a call, far more likely to fill out a form, and obviously because the office will be online, you'll be able to receive those calls, you'll be able to get back to new quote requests quickly. So in both those cases, the likelihood of you closing that lead to a booked client is going to be far higher. So we don't want to be running our ads early in the morning. We don't want to be running our ads late at night. There's not a huge amount of search volume here anyway, but the likelihood is if someone does click in these hours, you're not going to get leads off that. So we want to change our ad schedule from a 24-hour, 7 days a week schedule that Google pre-selects for us to those hours where we are available to take calls. And that will just mean that we get more leads and more conversions for the same ad budget. So with that in mind, once we've got those main settings done, if we got that, then we can move on to things like keywords and ad copy and all those sorts of things. Because if all your keywords are right and all your ad copy is fantastic, but you've got the wrong settings selected at the beginning, there's no way you're going to be able to hit this 20% plus conversion rate. So we've got the settings right to begin with. So then that, we can then go into what's called the ad group level. And the ad group level is, we are, the way to think about the ad groups is generally within one ad group, you select a group of keywords. And if someone searches for one of those keywords, they then get seen the advert within the ad group. The way I tend to set things up here is to run what I call a generic ad group and then a location ad group. So we could say, with the generics, it could be house cleaning, residential cleaners, housekeepers, whereas the House Plus Calgary would be house cleaners Calgary, Maid Service Calgary, Cleaning Companies Calgary. So the reason for doing that is that, as you can see, sometimes what we find is that the performance of these different ad groups changes. And, we've only got a month's worth of data here, but not very much. But you can see, here we're getting some different lead costs here. We're getting lower lead costs for the locations and higher for the generics, but then we're getting more conversions for the locations as well. So the reason why this is interesting is that once we move to a new stage of the campaign, we can get more aggressive with specific ad groups, specific keywords, and breaking it out in this way starts to allow us to see what the data looks like. So we if we've been running this for 3 or 4 months and we've got a lot more conversion data, the reality is 4 or 5 conversions isn't enough data really to say, okay, are these leads converting at this number or this number, because we probably need a 0 on top of that to make it what's called statistically significant. But let's say we had a lot more conversions and these lead costs were still holding. In that case it would make sense to put more money into Calgary and Cochrane, and then maybe reduce our bids on the generic house cleaning ad group. So this is really a good simple way to see if we're getting any of these deviations in performance. But if we click on the House plus Calgary ad group, you'll see the types of keywords that I'm targeting, and these are all the generic variants of house cleaning that you'd expect. So we've got Cleaning Services Calgary, Move Out Cleaning Calgary, Professional Cleaning, Calgary Maid Service. These are all the different variations that you would expect. The other thing to say here is that at the beginning of these campaigns we tend to run with like an exact match only strategy. And there are 3 different match types. The match types, what you can think about the match types is if Cleaning Services Calgary is the exact match type that we're going after, basically our ad would only run if someone typed in Cleaning Services Calgary or something very closely related. So it could be Cleaning Service Calgary, for example. Whereas the broader match type, the next broader match type would be something called phrase match. So if someone typed in Cleaning Services Calgary as a phrase match, if this term is included within the overall phrase, then the advert will get shown as well. So we could get shown up for Best Cleaning Services Calgary, which would be a good search. But then on the other hand, we could get a competitor search like Angela's Cleaning Services Calgary. And generally we don't want to show our ads up for competitors because again the conversion rate tends to be a lot lower. But as you can see from these 2 examples, phrase match gives us more volume. We can get some good searches, but equally we can get some less good, some poorer searches. So this is why generally when we look at exact match and phrase match, exact match are always the higher quality ones. So we want to run the campaigns to maximize the chances of it, getting good results with us for us. So we tend to see, okay, can we spend the budget just with exact match to begin with? And if we can, fantastic. Generally we'll run with exact match. If we need more volume, we would bring in phrase match. And the third group is something called broad match, which is very, very broad, very varied. So it could be, Cleaning Services Calgary as a broad match could bring up equipment suppliers in Calgary, or could be bin cleaning services in Calgary. So that, generally I would advise not running broad match. You can run some phrase match, and that is a good approach if you are needing more volume. But then the next stage to take you to is what is called the search terms report. And what the search terms report does is that it shows you the exact words that people are typing into Google when they're and our ads showing up for. So when I talk about this 20% conversion rate number, if this is high or low, generally if you go to the search terms report, you'll be able to see the reason for that. So we're obviously getting a really great conversion rate with this campaign, and you can see when you look down this search terms report that there are basically two categories of searches that we're coming out for. So we're coming up for, this is what I would call a service plus location, cleaning services plus Calgary. Move out cleaners Calgary would be another service plus location search. And then you would get more generic searches like, let's have a look down here. It would be where the location wouldn't be included. So if I go, and the reason for that is that we are in the House plus Calgary ad group. So if I unfilter all the ad groups in the campaign, we'll be able to see the exhaustive list. So you can see down here that this, for example, house cleaning is just a service on its own. It doesn't have a location included, but it's still a good search. So generally, if we can get 90% of these search terms to be either these service or service plus location searches, we are absolutely on the right track. If you're getting a real mix here, if we're getting lots of competitor searches, if we're getting a how do I clean a bathtub type of search, which is obviously someone wanting to do it themselves rather than hire someone, that is when you tend to see that conversion rate, that 20% conversion rate going down to 15, 10 and below 10. So this is not an accidental search terms report. We've obviously structured it in a way. Most people, when they're getting started, will have a search terms report that is far more mixed, and this is why the conversion rate tends to be a lot lower. And this is where something called a negative keyword list is really important. So what the negative keyword list does is that it protects us from irrelevant cleaning related searches. So as I said, Angela's cleaning service would be a competitor search. We don't want to come up for competitors generally. How do I clean a bathtub? Is someone probably wanting to do it themselves? Again, we're going to get a low conversion rate from them. So if we saw those couple of search terms pop up here, we could add these to something called a negative keyword list. And why the negative keyword list is important is that if someone, say we added the word Angela's cleaning service to our negatives, if someone searched for that in the future, our ad wouldn't show, and it means that we don't run the risk of our ad getting clicked on, and it means that we can put more of that budget into the higher converting keywords. So as you can see here, so for all our clients, we upload a master negative keyword list. So it's about 6,000 negative keywords long. So it's really, really exhaustive. So that is one of the reasons why the search terms report that I just showed you is so clean and so good, is because this negative keyword list is giving us a huge amount of protection. If you're starting up from scratch, you'll have no negative keywords, and you'll get a mix of all sorts coming through your search terms report, and then as the campaign runs, you need to select them, add them in. So obviously it will take time to build this protection, and obviously it will take money as well. So the negative keyword list is really, really important, and it gives you better and better protection as the campaign evolves. So the search terms report drives the performance of the account. Building out your negatives helps improve the quality or the performance of your account going forwards. The final thing I would say on this would be, once we are getting in front of the right pool of traffic, if the search terms report is really tight, we then need to make sure that we send that traffic to a landing page that is going to convert people from clicking on your landing page to actually calling you and filling out a form. And this is another very important step. Generally, most people will send their traffic to their homepage on their website, and that's the easiest thing to do. The best rule of thumb is to try to create a specific landing page for your ad campaigns. So the very simple or very short reason for this is that your homepage is trying to do lots of things. It's obviously trying to be attractive for potential clients to get in touch with you, but it might also be, if say you're running a recruitment ad on Indeed and your cleaners are checking your company out to check you are legit, they'll come to your site, so you need to look legit to your potential recruits. Maybe you have bumped into a property manager at a networking event and they go to your website and have a look. So your homepage is trying to do loads of different things, whereas a landing page specific to a ad campaign only has one job, and that is to get a potential client to become a client that calls you up and then becomes a booked client of yours. So with the landing page, there's a couple of important things. So we need to make sure that the phone number is very visible. It needs to be a click to call, particularly, as more and more people search on mobile, if you click the number, it needs to automatically be able to call that number. It needs, the landing page needs to be mobile responsive, so it needs to look equally as good on mobile as it does on desktop. And then the final thing on this side is that many people ask me, should I use a simple lead form, a simple contact form which gets details and then the call to action is get a quote, or should I use an online booking form where people can actually select a specific time and day for a cleaning and then they put in their credit card details to book the service there and then. So generally, 9 times out of 10 I will tell people that you want to run with a simple lead form, because there is a huge amount of trust that needs to be built before someone inputs a credit card number, probably with a company that they've never used before. There's got to be a lot of social proof on the landing page, and generally if they fill out the form and then you can then contact the person, the potential client, get them on the phone, then that is when you can build the trust and the rapport. So the landing page is really, really important. Obviously, the first step is get the traffic, but the second step is make sure that the landing page is set up. And then you finally, as an offshoot of that, you need to make sure that your conversion tracking is watertight. So you need to make sure that all your calls are being tracked. So if you get a call into your business line, has it come from Google Ads, or has it come from Facebook or Yelp or somewhere else? And this is where you need to get your conversion tracking set up. We use high-level CRM for all our tracking, but there are lots of different options out there. CoreRail is one, What Converts is another. So these are all really important things that you need to get right to really start getting results with your Google Ads. The hard thing is, yes, there are quite a few things. Some of them are quite technical, but the big positive here is because there is a fair amount to do. Most people don't know what they're doing. So if you can get over that hurdle, whether it's doing it yourself or getting someone like me to do it for you, then that puts you at a huge advantage against all the other advertisers. So in this next video, I'm going to just take you through the step-by-step process to set up a Google Ads campaign from scratch. I know we've talked about some of the basics and some of the things that we need to look at, but in this next video, I'll take you through the step-by-step and you can get started. So I'll see you on the next one.